This is an interesting question. We have a bit of a wordy one. We are trying to find the function, right? This function. We don't know what it is. We're going to call it f of x. That seems like a nice name. And we know that its gradient is equal to, so its gradient with the little tick means that it's a gradient, and that's equal to 2x plus 3x squared, and then minus this x to the power of a half. Okay, so what does that mean? What is the gradient? Let's go through that. Let's say I've got another function. I'm just going to call it bob of x, and it's just equal to 2x. Okay, so that's equal to 2x. That means that the gradient is just a flat 2, right? So what we've got is the one function here, that is the gradient. So that red line is basically this thing here. And we're trying to figure out the white line, okay? So to do that, we're going to need to integrate it. So first of all, let's integrate it. So let's integrate 2x plus 3x squared minus by 1/2, okay? And then just to be correct, I'll put a dx there. So that looks kind of confusing. It's quite big, right? But the whole thing about integration and differentiation is that it can be split up by the pluses and minuses by the terms. So you might not formally do this, but this is what you do when you do it in your head. So that is equal to 2x dx plus 3x squared dx plus, and I'll just move over a little bit, and then that minus, so just to make things easy, I'll put a minus out the front of the bracket there. 1/2 squared dx. Okay, so we can focus on each of these individually. So 2x, when we integrate that, it becomes plus 1. So it gets higher. Integrating, you can imagine, is climbing. It's going higher. Differentiation is d for down. So we divide by 1 plus 1, which is that 2 there. And now we do the same thing. So there's that 3x, and it becomes 2 plus 1. And that's all divided by 3, because 2 plus 1 is 3. And then a minus by, these ones are a bit annoying, so it becomes 1/2 plus 1. So just to go back to fractions, 1/2, you can imagine is writing 0.5, plus 1, you can imagine writing it as 1.5. We're doing maths and we like exact values. Decimal places can make a huge issue. So 1 really, right, is the same as saying 2 divided by 2. Now, with fractions, you can say that's 1 plus 2, and that's equal to 3. Okay, so I'll just remove all 3 divided by 2, sorry. 3 divided by 2. Okay, so now we can say 3 divided by 2. And now this is where it gets a little bit confusing. We need to divide that term there by 3 divided by 2. All right, I'll get on to the fractions, which is the only reason why it's difficult. All right, and what we're going to do here is say plus c. Okay, so just remember, you're always going to have to write plus c because there's no numbers at the top or the bottom here of the integral, so it's always plus c. So let's rewrite out this top line here so that it looks nicer. And that'll be, the 2's cancel out there, and that'll be x squared plus the 3's cancel out, x to the power of 3. Now, what's happening here is that we go minus, and that way of dividing by 3 divided by 2 is you can say it's times. And that flips the fraction, right? Because, I don't know, 6 divided by 2 is the same as saying 6 times by 1 divided by 2, right? Which is 6 divided by 2. So it's the same thing here. We're going to say times 2 divided by 3. And I'll just go ahead and simplify that once more for us so that it looks a lot easier. So all of that will be equal to minus 2 divided by 3, x 3 divided by 2 there. And remember, plus c. Okay, so now this is our white function. We found it. We found the white function. But the problem is we don't know what that plus c is. So we get given a point. We get given a point to say at some point when x is equal to 1, y value is equal to 4. So let's substitute that in and solve for c. So we get 4 is equal to, wherever you see an x, all right, just say it's 1. And I always draw a bracket around it, kind of like in here, right? How there's a bracket. Just draw a bracket around it and put the 1. Okay, and we're going to figure this out in a moment. Let's just take all the steps to work it out. And the last thing is to say plus c. Okay, so almost there. So now that we've got this, let's simplify it because that looks horrendous. 1 squared, 1 times by 1 is equal to 1. Plus 1 cubed, 1 times by 1 times by 1 is also equal to 1. That's nice. It's all nice and easy maths so far. What about 1 cubed? So 1 times by 1 times by 1 is 1, right? And then square root that, it's still 1. So that is 1 and then plus c. So now we've just got to do some fractions. That's the only reason why this question is hard. So 1 plus 1 is 2, minus by 2 divided by 3 plus c. Now, there's a trick, right? Whenever you see fractions, I hate fractions. I'm looking at that divide by 3. I want to make my life so much easier. So we can move that 2 across. So it becomes 4 minus 2 minus by 2 to 3 plus c. And basically, I'm just going to multiply everything by 3. All right? And so you would agree with me, if I have some number here, 2, and I times it by 3, that's equal to 6. But if I have 2 is equal to 2, and I times both sides by 3, they're both equal. 6 is equal to 6. And that's what I'm doing here. That's the math that I'm doing. So 2 times by 3, and then I'll also times everything here by 3. And what that means is that I get 6 is equal to 3c. So expand your bracket. You've done this before. And then minus by 2 divided by 3. And look at the magic. It just disappears. So that's the trick to just like eliminating fractions, and you don't have to do anything fancy. So finally, we're going to plus 2 to both sides. And we get 8, and that's equal to 3c. And finally, it's equal to 8 divided by 3. But we're not done. It says find the function. So we've got to write all of it out. All right? All of it. Okay? So we get that's being equal to x squared plus by x to the power of 3 minus that 2 divided by 3, x 3 divided by 2, and then plus that c value, which is 8 divided by 3. And that is our total function here. That's the white line that we were after all along, after all that working out. So what's really tricky here is it looks like a lot when we have to integrate all of this, but remember, whenever you see the pluses, the different terms, split it across, and then just do them individually in your head. You can even do it working out. I like to do it as one line. It makes more sense in my head. And then the whole fractions things, how do you add fractions? How do you divide by fractions? If that's the killer, then you should work on it a little bit. But there's this trick here. Whenever you have a fraction like this, there's no squares, you're trying to get rid of it, just times by that lowest common denominator. All right, that's just that divided by 3, and it eliminates everything. Just remember to expand the brackets, otherwise you're going to get it wrong if you just have it as 3c minus 2 divided by 3. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. I'd be really happy to help out.